Tonight's a very important night, and it's an important night because all of you are here, first of all, as patriots, people of our country, people who have hearts of faith and belief within our system of God. And it's very important. So I commend all of you today, and I tip my hat to you. And I just wanted to say that first. There were some words that were used prior to me speaking. We heard policy, accountability, step up, the Republican is lesser of the evils. I just want to touch base on all those terms, okay, before I go into a few other areas. First of all, I come from a background of constitutional law. My dad was the first constitutional sheriff according to Paul Harvey, and he was told that in 1958. Those of you who are old enough to remember Paul Harvey, he's kind of the Rush Limbaugh of this older generation. And so I think that's very important to understand where I come from when it comes to constitutionality. The term policy was used earlier. Constitutionality and policy are opposite, just so you know. Okay, policy is what a corporation does to its employees. Each and every one of you here today, if you pull out your driver's license, you'll see your name in all capital letters. Anytime you do contractual agreements, your name will be in all capital letters. The definition of that comes from the Administrative Procedure Act of every state, and it simply states this: letters of the English alphabet only include uppercase letters. There's no distinction between type, face, or font that'll be recognized. And so just so you know, the reason we don't have constitutional rights is because our country changed its perceptive to the American people. We were a municipality. Now, do everybody understand what a municipality is? Okay? Most of you think you understand, but very few truly understand. A municipality works in the constitutional protection of our rights versus the incorporation, in other words, business of government to provide services. And they're not supposed to provide services that compete with mom and pop businesses. Now, when we look at government today, the accountability that was stated earlier is definitely not used within the corporation structure of government. Here locally, there's many aspects of fraudulent activity going on within our ordinances, our statutory laws, and even in our state constitution. And I'll touch base on that. We gave these books out earlier. We use these as fundraisers, okay? And so everybody who has a book, if you go to our website, and it's called patriotinfomag.com, you'll come to the website and you'll hit the Florida Fact page, and you'll see this same book on a PDF. And there's also a video that'll explain it. Accountability is what we're lacking because the majority of the population here today can't wrap their head around what I'm trying to explain, okay? And the reason we can't wrap our head around is because our ego is too big, our heart is not paying attention to what our Creator is dictating to us through spiritual knowledge, okay? These type of things are taking place. We have to step up, and when we say step up and take action, okay, many people in the Republican Party, as well as the Democrat Party, but I'm going to talk about the Republican Party. And the reason why is because I grew up in the Republican Party, but it was the deep state Republican Party that I grew up in Idaho, okay? And so when I look at the corruption in Idaho, and I come to Florida and New Mexico and Wyoming and travel around the United States and overseas, and I talk about constitutionality, people don't realize that the Republican Party has been manipulated tremendously through not only rhinos, but through the individuals of local communities. Because again, most people are unaware through proxy. Everybody understand the term proxy? Okay, if you have stocks in a company, you have proxy to vote, okay? So proxy in the United States, if you took the top Fortune 500 companies, guess who controls the proxy? Anybody? The government, just so you know. The government employees buy stock in pensions, And when it comes right down to it, they control proxy of the top Fortune 500 companies. Okay, so when we look at what we said earlier, in reference to what was said earlier, what's the lesser of the evils? I exposed corruption that led from 1963 to 1997, that led up to 3 presidents, including the Bushes. And that's hard to explain to people here in Florida, okay? And I turned that over to the FBI. Some people got in trouble, and a lot of people who should have gotten in trouble never had anything happen to them. I know people that were convicted of 4 felony accounts, never spent a day in jail, never had to pay any money back, had their record expunged within 2 years, and was never on probation as far as being seen. Now, does that seem like justice if you admit to 4 felony counts? This is what's taking place not just in Idaho, New Mexico, Wyoming, Florida, but across our nation. So when we look at the corporation structure of government, we have to take compassion within our hand, okay? And I'm a pretty spiritual person when it comes to compassion and understanding. I'm what they call in our tribe a shaman. In other words, a clergy person in everybody else's understanding, okay? And we come from an area called the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. And the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in English is the Blood of Christ Mountains. There's less than 300 of us left. What they're doing today to each and every one of you, Europeans and others, okay, but I'm going to say Europeans first, is they're trying to put you on the reservation. That's what the Democratic Party, the deep state rhinos, and everybody else is doing. Okay? The American Indian was the first socialist program in the United States led by the elite and corrupt individuals. People don't understand that. They refer to us as savages. We took care of the land. I don't think that's savage. Okay? We cared for one another. We were no different than any other group. We went into war with other tribes. Sometimes we took slaves from other tribes. Everybody's done that in history. It doesn't matter which tribe you come from. We have to let go of our understanding and our ego to conquer the spiritual war that we're in today. Now, are all of you willing to do that? That's what I got to ask you, okay? If you're willing to step aside from your ego, step away from your heart and what everybody else is talking about, what we refer to as the spin of communication, because it gets misguided, okay? We have to stand to the truth and the facts. And just because something's true doesn't necessarily mean it's a fact. And just something that says it's a fact doesn't necessarily mean it's true. Example, fire. What color is fire? There's probably 20 different colors people are saying right now. But fire is actually colorless because it's an odor as it comes up through the heat. So you can manipulate statistics in any way, shape, or form, as we see in the census and everything else that's going on. Democracy. I get sick of the term democracy. It hurts my heart. And I know it hurts God's heart. There's not a country on this planet that has survived democracy. Think of that. Not one country. Doesn't matter if it's been 200 years, 300 years, 1,000 years. Each and every one of you here today who support democracy are turning your back on the Constitution. Simple as that. Okay? We are a republic. The republic is the only form of government that protects your spiritual identity, who you are. Not just as an individual, but as you are as a spiritual being. And in our tradition, each and every one of you is an angel in my eyes. Okay? Just so you know, you might think you're in the flesh, and you are, but in my tradition, you're an angel, here to experience and help society through experience. Because you can only help somebody if you've experienced it personally. I've experienced abduction when I was a sophomore in high school. I went through abduction. I know what it takes. I went through MK Ultra project. That's a government experimental project. I've been through it. I know. I've lived it. I've seen kids get killed. I've seen individuals be beaten. I've had all my fingers broke. I've had knives taken to me. But it's a purpose and a path that God had given me so I can come here today and every other day in my life to explain to you people, we have to make a change. Change is not change without change. The corruption in politics leads not only to wars, child trafficking, sex trafficking, manipulation of currencies, economics. All these things are part of what we have to talk about. And I challenge Brandon to talk about the corporation of government on his talk show, because he has an excellent opportunity to awaken people who are unaware of what is going on. And I challenge anybody else who's part of a committee. Bring me, I'm here to help. We moved to this community not just to be silent. We moved from New Mexico. Think of that. I left all my family, all my heritage, every aspect of my life in New Mexico to come here to be with you people, because in my heart, since I was a little kid, I had a dream of Florida. And I'm here to finish that dream, to help this county to become the first constitutional republic county once again. And I know how to do it. The question is, can we get the people involved enough to understand the process to take care of the Homestead Act that's a violation here in the county? It's fraudulent. Anybody who has it right here, I can show you the fraud. Same with motor vehicles. I can show you the fraud that's being taken place. We have to stand up and unite. And as we unite, we have to be able to understand some truths that are going to be really hard. And Matt Hoover's going to step up here, and he's going to talk about some of this child trafficking and other areas that you don't want to really listen to, because again, we want to stick our head in the sand too many times. We can't do it anymore, brothers and sisters. We can't. We have to stand tall, have a strong foundation. I got size 16 feet, so if you're weak, come lean on me, okay? And that's how I feel, all right? So I'm going to bring Matt up. I appreciate your time. We love you, and know we're in this battle together.
All right, we have food back here. If